Hello and welcome back to my YouTube channel. If you're new here, you're very welcome. My name's Laura, and in this video we're going to be looking at how the UCAT works, what it's all about, how to do well in each section, and just a couple of hints and tips and a bit of advice. So to begin with, I'm just going to say it was definitely a very new and unfamiliar concept for me, and it was a lot to get used to. It does come naturally to some people, but from a lot of my friends and people that I know have taken it, it does take a lot of practice, so don't get disheartened if you're finding it difficult to begin with. So first of all, what actually is the UCAT? Well, the UCAT is the University Clinical Aptitude Test, and it's a 2-hour exam that is done entirely on the computer. It assesses a lot of different abilities and cognitive functions. There's a math section, one kind of English based, and it's all very time pressured because there's a lot of questions to answer in quite a short amount of time. It's designed for medical and dental students across the UK and in Australia and New Zealand to take this test to allow them to access certain universities in the UK to get into their medical and dental schools. So the 5 sections are verbal reasoning, decision making, abstract reasoning, quantitative reasoning, and finally situational judgement. So the 5 sections are quite varied and different, and they are all assessing a new sort of skill and cognitive function that a university is wanting to see from its students. The idea is that they've taken all the skills that they think students that they want to take need, and they've combined it all into a test and added some time restraints to make sure that everyone feels time pressured and sort of has to work as fast as possible. So firstly, verbal reasoning. Verbal reasoning is designed to assess your ability to read well, pick up information from a lot of text, and to do it all in as little time as possible. So verbal reasoning is kind of like the English section of the test. It is designed to try and assess your ability to pick up information from a passage and to draw conclusions from all of the information that you've read and answer all the questions that they give you. There are 44 questions, and it's to be answered as multiple choice within 22 minutes of the test time. So now on to the quantitative reasoning part of the test. This is to do with numbers and sort of like your maths sort of section of the test. You basically are being assessed on your ability to do maths and numeracy as fast as possible. You have 24 minutes to answer 36 questions, and they can be on a range of topics and nothing really related to medicine. The idea is that it's not meant to be any harder than GCSE or AS level maths, but the time that you have to do it in means that you're being forced to think as fast as possible and to answer as quickly as you can. So the decision-making section is designed to assess your ability to follow logically and to try and reason with data and numbers and any sort of text that's given. You have 31 minutes to answer 29 questions. The idea is that you pick the sort of multiple choice answer that best fits with the scenario that's being given, whether it's in the format of a Venn diagram or if it was in some sort of pie chart or simply in a passage of text. You want to pick out the key information and use it to logically follow through and find your answer. The 4th section of the test is abstract reasoning. Abstract reasoning is looking at your ability to identify patterns, to pick out logical shapes and styles of things, and to see if you can block out any distraction and focus on the sort of task at hand. It's easier said than done, and whenever you first look at these questions, it doesn't look that difficult, but whenever you actually break them down to find the patterns, it can be very tricky, and under time pressure, it can be almost impossible for some of them. You become a lot more confident with these as time goes on, so practice is definitely key. You have to answer 55 questions in 13 minutes, which is quite a lot to do. So the fifth and final part of the UCAT is called Situational Judgement, and it's basically assessing a student's ability to recognise right from wrong and use your appropriate response to a situation. It is the only part of the test that really relates to medicine or dentistry, and therefore is kind of an ethical style of question, and it wants to see if you understand that things in everyday real life situations are appropriate or not. So similarly with other sections of the UCAT, it is quite time pressured. In the situational judgment section, you have 26 minutes and 69 questions to answer. So the test is scored out of a maximum of 3,600 points. It's split across 4 of the sections. So for each section, you'll get a score from 300, which is the lowest possible score in each section, to a maximum of 900 points. This means that in each section, a sort of good average estimate to be scoring is around 600 to 650. Some people will find that they pick up a lot more marks in one section than another, and that's okay. It's all combined over the 4 sections that score those points to give you an overall average. The situational judgment section is scored separately, and it's scored from 1 to 4, 1 being that they're the highest scoring candidates and 4 being that they are the lowest. Some universities do not look at candidates that score any lower than a 2 in the situational judgment question, because they believe that the ethical side of things is exceptionally important in a medical or dental student, so they want their students to be in the top sort of category. When booking your UCAT, you'll be in the end of your year 13 or lower 6th year. You'll be finished your first year of A levels or AS levels. This year the registration opens at the beginning of June, so make sure not to miss out on booking your UCAT for 2021. To book, you simply go onto the UCAT website and just have your forms of ID and stuff available, and they'll send you all the rest of the information. Some students like to book it early on in the summertime when they are able to focus and stay on track with their sort of revision and so on for it, and then they can get it out of the way and enjoy the rest of their summer holidays. Whereas other students quite like to book it towards the end of the season, where they have been able to then use the entire length of time to revise and prepare for it. It is really personal preference, and everyone's different and different things work for them. Whenever you're booking your UCAT test, make sure to pick a time and date that's going to suit you well and that you think you'll be able to focus and be alert for. Remember that you may have to travel different locations across a country to find a test centre if you don't book in advance. The exam is sat in a centre, usually something like the driving theory test is set in. Sometimes, like when this year for the COVID restrictions, they allowed people to do it at home as well, and in special circumstances there is availability to do it at home. So that's it for this video. I've given a bit of an overview to each of the sections. They are quantitative reasoning, abstract reasoning, verbal reasoning, decision making, and situational judgment sections. If you'd like more info on each of these sections, be sure to check out the rest of my channel where I'll go into more detail and give more advice on each section. If you haven't already, please hit that subscribe button down below to keep up to date with all my new content. Thanks for watching, and I'll see you in my next video.